Today I'm going to be working on doing a bit of a toolbox flip. I want to put some shelvings in here, some hooks in here to hold all of my DeWalt battery tools. I've got about 20 different pieces all laying around in these bags. So the first thing what I'm going to be doing is clearing out all this stuff. You can see how built up with rubbish and junk this is right now. So I'm going to sort everything out. I just need to give a quick shout out to my girlfriend coming past, giving me a coffee. She knows how to keep me happy. Anyway, it's a lot cleaner now. I'm gonna go through, sweep all this up. Don't worry about that. Our first plan for the day is I've got 2 more of these laying around somewhere. I'll find them and we'll chuck those in. I'm a bit OCD, so having all the batteries not in like ascending order from sizes does my head in a little bit. You can actually get these batteries and force the big batteries in between each other. As you can see though, that's really tight. I'm pushing that in there. I don't want to do anything to damage them. So I'm just gonna leave them with the spacings like that. And yeah, we got 2 150mm Bowden screws sitting here to hold our string lines, and then also all of my tapes that I need. So they sit in there perfectly. And that is that top shelf up there completed. All right, so all these storage containers were already set up like that. So I just chuck those back in, and that's my top shelf done. I've just gone over with a bit of tape so that I can write a label on every single one of them. I'm not going to chuck stuff in any of these yet. We're going to do what we can, see what goes where, and then we'll work out what goes in all those containers. I've just started putting some plywood on the back of my boxes now. That way I can screw some hooks into them, have some more plywood coming out from it. I'm just going to continue chucking some sheets on either side, and once they're up there, we're going to start figuring out this layout. This wheel from Bunnings, and what I'm thinking of doing is bolting that to the top shelf, taking the wheel out. So I've got the metal frame spinning around, and I want to frame out a square plywood box with these hooks going on them. I have 4 hooks on 4 sides, and I think they're the right size. Yeah, they are the right size. And I have my impactor, 2 impact wrenches, and my drill all hanging, which will swivel around and be able to spin them around. So I think I might be getting a bit too carried away. I don't know if it's going to work with the room, but I'm a bit excited to try this out and see if this works. Okay, so the wheels are off now. I've grinded off half of the side of this, and we just put a bit of 9045 on. So now this can sit up there and spin around. And what I want to do is just frame out a nice box, a squared box out of ply right now. And I just need to do it in a way that I can put that up there, bolt that up onto the top of my shelf first, and once they're bolted on, you just lift this box up, put it on, maybe a couple Bowden screws at the bottom, couple screws at the bottom, and onto the side, and then it'll all be held up there. Right, so this is the frame of our box. This is our base plate and our 4 edges, which should just stand up like that. And as long as these cuts are perfectly square, they'll all join on perfectly. Get some PVA glue in there, a couple screws to hold it together, and then that box is good to go around our swivelly thing, whatever you'd call that. Okay, so our box is done, and luckily enough, it fits perfectly with our piece of 90, which just slides right in there. So our swivel wheel mount is attached, and this bit of 9045 spins around like so. We've got the heads of the nuts just sticking through on our top shelf, but I can't even notice it, these boxes there. I could have put a bit of plywood sitting on there and hide those nuts and that, but I'm not fussed about that. These are nice and secure, just as well as the rest of them. So yeah, now we're just going to set up our hooks onto the shell, slide that in, and I'll connect it all together. That is done, and I am super happy with that. All our hooks are on. We've screwed our little frame into that pine, and as we can see, all the drills fit in there perfectly. My 2 impact wrenches, my drill, and my impact driver. I'm pretty happy with that, and we've got this room down here as well, so I'm going to have that for storage for some other tools. And then I've also cut in this little board here. I'm gonna have two of these, one here, another one about there. And I haven't made up my mind yet. We're gonna either have some shelves in there or some sliding drawers. This whole build is gonna be a little bit of just throw together whatever I feel like, what works best, and we'll see what the final product's gonna be. So the next thing I got was just these hooks here, these two bars, which are made for just hanging tools in the garage. So I've got that which can hold my grinder, multi-tool, and torch. And they can hang up there, and there's still room for a tool to go under here. I'm even considering having my Recipro staying there. It's a nice little slot for it. Alright, so the new plan is I found some sliders for some drawers I dismantled a while ago. I'm going to put one on each side there so that these sliders can slide out. I built this little frame here, which that same mount is going to sit on. These legs, these arms on either side are going to be connected to those rails. And then that whole system will pull out like so. And your tools will come out and we can access all of our tools. So I'm quite happy with this toolbox setup at the moment. We will go through and paint everything, mark where tools go, make it look pretty. But for the moment, I'm just going to play around with it and see what I can do with small little areas to saw, blades, disc, and etc. So to hold these Recipro blades up, this is just an old blunt drill bit I've got there. I've just drilled through with it. It's sturdy, it's not going to fall down. And I've just reused that old blunt drill bit just because it's thin enough, I think a millimeter thin, so I can slide my bits down into it. The next thing I'm thinking of adding is I want something here to hold all of my multi-tool blades. And the idea I've came up with is I'm going to get another piece of plywood, screw it on like that, but before I do that, I want to get my router over here and take out most of this face here. And that way, when I screw it on, there's going to be a gap in the middle there, and I can just sit all my multi-tool blades sitting down in that gap. Okay, so I didn't even worry about using a guide for this because you're not going to see any of that space once it's screwed on up here. And this is what it would look like. It's going to be screwed on up there. And as you can see there, I've just put one of my multi-tool blades in there. I made it wide enough so you can have two blades in at the same place. So I can have one on top of there, just in case I get a fair few and I need more room for it. All right, perfect, that's done. We can just sit our multi-tool blades right in there and they're completely out of the way as well. We can open that up and they're not going to be in our way when we pull our tools out. One other thing I want to set up is all my sanding pads for my multi-tool and also for my orbital sander. I'm going to put some screws in them, some screws up here, and I'm just going to line it up so those holes there just sit through the screws and all my sanding pads can be up there out of the way in that top corner, which originally was going to have nothing there. I've got a spare magnetic holder that goes in the side of either an impactor or a drill. So what I'm going to do to this is mount this to the front of that box there and use it to hold all of my jigsaw blades with the magnet. So I'm going to store my jigsaw right there and have the blades right in front of it ready to use. Okay, so here is the final product. It looks absolutely just jammed with things everywhere, and that's exactly how I wanted it. I want to make it so every single bit of space I can will be used holding something. So we'll just quickly start through. We'll go through a walk through left to right to show what there is here. I do want to see if I can add a few more small things like clipped onto here, and I definitely want to get some light shining down because it is a bit dark right now. We've got a little screw in the side here. That's holding my drill bit box right there. We've obviously got one of my favorite bits of the whole lot, this little swivel mount, which holds all of my drills, impactors. Got myself some use out of this front bit here with my multi-tool blades sitting in there. Got our caulking gun here and our riveter just hanging off the front. Obviously that's not going to be in the way because this whole bit slides out, meaning we can access all our tools sliding them out this way. Got a multi-tool, grinder and torch all in here on these rails. Only problem with these is if I want to use a grinder at the back, I need to take all these tools out to access it. And then obviously we've got our grinding blades there, multi-tool blades, multi-tool sanding disc there. So everything we need for those tools is right here in that area. Then we got this drop saw space, and I've had my drop saw here for a while, except I just haven't had this room around the edge to use other tools. So we've got myself two hammers here, a mallet and a little small sledgehammer sitting in there out of the way. I've got a AC supply, corded supply, just hung up at the back neatly out of the way. And then over here we've got our two guardrails and our sawdust bag. And just along the side here too, I've managed to hook up my blower, some attachments on the top there, And we've got on the side here our nozzle for the blower, which when the blower's out of the way, you can just slide that up and it comes out. Up here we've got ourselves our router bits. Everything we need for the router is in this tub. Next to it we've got our jigsaw. All our jigsaw blades are just on this magnetic attachment in front of it. And then we've got our orbital sander. You can see up here we've got our sanding disc at the top. Only our 240s for the orbital sander. I might add a couple more screws coming through here to put different types of sanding pads up here, and obviously I've got them the other way so we can read 240, 120s and 60s. These are both for our multi-tool, our oscillating tool, which goes on the attachment found over here. There you have it. There is our first toolbox done. I'm just loving getting carried away with having as many movement bits as possible. There's only 2 in here with that slide out drawer and this orbital impact and drill holder. We've got the next toolbox to do. I'm not doing that straight away. I'm gonna wait a bit to really work out what I want to do with that and think of some more cool little fun things I can add into that next toolbox.